For this next part of the project, I'm going to be showing you guys the process of embossing your metal. Embossing's when you're putting pressure on the metal. So you're either putting pressure downwards to sink the metal, or you're putting pressure from the back to raise the metal. So that's what embossing is. And you can see the sections that I've already embossed. They look nice and raised, really cool. And then the parts that I haven't embossed are just flat. So all you're gonna need for this part of the project is your metal, a couple different wooden tools. So I like to grab just a couple of different sizes, a pen, and then your newsprint underneath, and you wanna make sure you fold it so it's nice and cushiony. So all I'm gonna do for this is continue what I was doing up here. I'm creating a pattern. So you can see where this shape is raised up, the next one is sunken down. This is raised up, sunken down. So we're gonna continue that pattern, and I'm gonna show you guys how to start this. So let's work over here where I haven't done anything. And I want to, so this one is sunken down, which means I wanna raise this one up just to kind of alternate. So the ones that I'm gonna sink down, I'm just gonna take my pen and put a little mark so I know that those are the ones that are going down into the surface. That way when I'm working, I don't get mixed up and I don't accidentally emboss the wrong section. So I'm gonna start using the skinny part of my wood tool, and I'm just gonna go for it. So I'm trying to stay within the lines. It's the same thing like when you're coloring, you don't wanna go outside the lines. Same process, I'm just going back and forth. You can switch ends, like let's say you're trying to do a bigger area. You don't always have to use the skinny end. And you wanna go back and forth a couple times to make your metal as smooth as possible. We don't want a bunch of scratches in the metal. You also want to be pressing hard enough that you can tell the metal's sinking down into the surface. But if you feel like your metal's starting to get thin, that means there's a possibility that you could get a hole in your piece. So you should stop working in that area if that happens. But you can see the section that I just did is nice and smooth, and now it's sunken down into the surface. So I would spend time doing this shape as well. I would sink it down into the surface, but I wanna show you guys how to pop something out from the other side. So if I want to make this more raised, this center shape, I'm actually gonna flip my metal over and I'm gonna work from the back, okay? So I'm taking my tool, I'm gonna use the dull end of this wooden tool, and you're just gonna start doing the same process. This time you just flip to the other side. So that's why it's important to mark out which shapes you're embossing down and which ones are going to be embossed upwards. Okay. So what you can do too, let's say you got a little bit outside of your lines, maybe you got a little carried away. You can take a pen and just re-outline the shape. It just makes it nice and neat again. And it's okay if you get pen on your metal because we're gonna be adding ink to these later. So now that this one's raised and this one's sunken down, I would just keep working my way. This one would be raised, and I would just continue that pattern. And that's really all there is to it for this step of the project.